Hey,
Hello,
everybody.
good to see you.
Hi.
We'll let folks keep rolling on in here for the next few minutes.
I see you, Georgia and Doug.
Yep, we're here. Hey. I'm gonna mute so Georgia doesn't cough through the whole meeting.
Oh, okay.
I got her drugs today, though.
That's what I have these for, Doug, right here.
Yep.
Hey, I just bought the same one at the drugstore.
They're on sale at CVS, so
Yeah, I know. I was excited. I may just set it up on Amazon to come in every month, the way we've been going here lately.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but it's really dreary today, so I'm having fun thinking about a trip. Anything that's not cold and cloudy and windy.
Yeah.
But some might argue it's and rainy, right? Exactly.
But it looks like it might happen.
Yeah.
Here, you can,
There you are.
Slide over, Georgia, so they can maybe you get in the picture, Georgia, so they can look at you instead of me. Even sick, you look better than me.
I am a mess. Yeah.
Right. Let's see.
Okay, but one more minute, Kevin.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just letting folks in as they come. So just watching that, and we are recording. So if folks need this later, granted, we'll see how helpful we actually are. And if there's anything recording worthy to watch, but
You know how many you're expecting on the Zoom?
no earthly idea. So yeah. And really, I mean, yeah, people.
Are there more waiting, Kevin?
I have let in everyone, so
All right,
people watch.
let's get
Yep.
started. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I know some of you know me, and some of you know Kevin, and some of you don't know anybody because you were invited here by a friend. So I'm Laura Johnson. I'm one of the pastors on staff at Apex United Methodist Church. I am married to Kevin, and he is a pastor at Macedonia United Methodist Church. And so this is a joint trip between our two churches and our family. Our kids will be coming as well, and grandma's going to come too to help corral the children, which will be fun. And I know that many of you are like grandparents to our children or aunts or uncles, and so it's going to be fun to do this. So this trip is going to be, so let me just kind of overview how we're going to do this. So I'm going to talk through a little bit about what the itinerary is going to look like. I know you probably have received the detailed sheet. So I'll kind of walk through it and give a little bit of commentary as we walk through that. And then Kevin is going to talk about some of the logistics questions that we've already gotten that we might be able to answer. And any other kind of details. And then we're going to open it up to questions. And so if you have questions along the way, just write them down and we'll answer them at the end. I think so far we have, our goal is to have 33 on this trip. And I think so far we have 8 that she has received their registrations. But I know I've talked to others who have sent it in. And so that's kind of where we're at as far as numbers go. If we exceed 33, we're going to start a waiting list. And once we get to that kind of how many more want to come, we'll figure out what to do with that, because it'll affect size of bus and all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of the overview of how this is going to work. So let me share the screen and share with you this here. You guys all see this?
Yeah.
The beautiful pictures. All right, the beautiful pictures of where we're going. So, so this trip is going to be half on land and half on water. And so, you know what? I'm not going to share the screen, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to share with you this fun little Google map. One second. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna. Do you see this map? Hold on. What map are you looking at? You might be looking at a different map than I'm looking at. This, do you see this picture of Thessaloniki that's popping up?
Yeah.
Do I have the right
Yes.
map open? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to fly out of Raleigh and we're going to arrive in Athens. I will probably go through Paris or something. I'm not entirely sure. But immediately from Athens, we're going to hop a short little flight up to Thessaloniki, where we will spend the night for 2 nights. And from Thessaloniki, we will go see Philippi and a little port town by Philippi called Kavala. And of course, Paul wrote letters to the Thessalonians and to the Philippians. And so in each of these places we're going to visit, we will do some devotions and worship based on the actual letters and events that happened either in Acts or in Paul's letters. And we'll do some reflection, thinking about what God accomplished there, what the people there learned through Paul's ministries. So we'll fly up from Athens to Thessaloniki. We'll spend the night, 2 nights there while we do some traveling around that area. And then we're going to start driving south all the way down to Athens. And along the way, we're going to stop at a place called Vergina, where Alexander the Great is buried. And there's some other kind of sites along the way, just to kind of break up that drive all the way down to Athens. And then we'll spend the night in Athens. And then the next day, we're going to go to Corinth. Let me show you where that is on the map. Here we go. So we're going to go, Corinth is over here. Let me get the directions so you can see where we're going here. We're going to take a day trip from Athens over to Corinth, and we'll spend that day in Corinth on a tour. And of course, Paul wrote a lot to the Corinthians, and that was a very interesting place and community. And some of the most famous verses that Paul wrote are written in his Corinthians letters. And so we'll have a great time exploring Corinth. We'll go back to Athens and spend the night before we hop on the cruise, which would be the next day. And so once we leave Athens the next day, we're going to go to Mykonos, which is a charming little island right here off of the coast of Athens. It is a day that's going to really be kind of a rest day for us. There won't be much like all tourism there. It's more of just go explore this beautiful island and sit on the beach and do some shopping. So that will kind of be more of like a reset rest day after all the tours we've been doing. So if any of you have been on other pilgrimage, like you went to the Holy Land, from what I understand is those are go, 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 go. And then this trip is go, 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 rest, go, 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 rest. So there's some kind of built-in days of just doing some sightseeing that aren't necessarily going to be large group tours guided by folks.
Laura, we can't bring Rula in to run and gun for us here in Greece.
You can't do what?
We can't bring Rula in she's not doing anything in Israel right now, so let's bring her down. Bring her
I
on.
know, if only, right? I know Betty Ann though has like her like Greece tour guide that she's very
I got
excited
you,
to hook
yeah.
us up with.
All right.
So yeah, Ruli was the tour guide that our Apex group saw in the Holy Land when they went last year, for those of you who aren't familiar with that name. Okay, so after Mykonos, we're going to get back onto the go, go, go mode, and we're going to go to Ephesus. Let me show you where that is. That's in Turkey. It's called Kusadasi on your trip. But
You're in North
not
Carolina.
Ephesus, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way. Kudasi.
That's
I
a
didn't
that's
know
a
there
long
was
day trip.
Yeah.
Does anybody? I didn't know there was an Ephesus, North Carolina. Look at that. Okay, so here is Kusadasi right here. Mykonos is here, so we're gonna cruise over to this area, enter Turkey only for this trip. I know Turkey can like sound a little scary these days, but it's only going to be at the port to go to Ephesus, which from what our travel agent Betty Ann told me is that Ephesus is the best preserved, most stunning biblical site that exists. That it's just fascinating and incredible how they have kept it. The ruins are in really good shape, basically. And so we'll have a day of touring Ephesus in that morning, and then we're going to leave that port and go to Patmos, which is where here we go. So we're going to leave Kusadasi and go to Patmos, where where Revelation was written. So that's not really Paul, but it's still fascinating while we're there. And so you can actually kind of see the caves where John the prophet received these revelations from God and wrote this book while he was on Patmos in exile. And so we'll stay there in Patmos and do a tour there. Get back on the boat for some more cruising, and then we're going to have some more rest time where we're going to go to two of the most beautiful Greek islands. We'll go to Crete, and here Paul and Titus did a lot of work together, so we'll kind of look at some of Titus's letters and consider their relationship, which was really fascinating, of like mentor mentee. And then after we do Crete, we'll go to Santorini, which is a small little island a little bit farther north that it's going to be just more of like the last island you'll see, and it'll be a sightseeing trip in Santorini. And so picture Santorini is like the white walls and the beautiful islands that you picture when you think of Greece. So that will be our last night on the boat. We'll sail back to Athens, and that morning we'll get off in Athens, and we'll do our day in Athens of sightseeing there, and we'll do all of the main sites of like the Acropolis, and we'll see Mars Hill where Paul preached his famous sermon, and we'll get to do a lot of the Athens sightseeing in that day. We'll spend the night in Athens, and then we'll fly out the next morning from Athens to go back to Raleigh. So that will be the trip, high level overview. And like I said, along the way, Kevin and I will have devotional materials, we'll have worship, and we'll really try to kind of help us look at these places with biblical eyes. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Kevin to talk logistics, and then we'll answer questions you have and through that kind of stuff.
So what's important to note is we haven't talked about food at all, and food's hugely important. And so I don't know how Laura just skipped out on that part, because where my mind goes first. So breakfast and dinner are included on the whole trip. That's included in your cost. So if you've traveled in Europe at all or any other spaces, like breakfast is usually like pretty good breakfast in the hotel, not as weak as the Hampton Inn where I was yesterday. it's a little beyond the microwave that we have at some of ours. So breakfast and dinner are included, as well as all of the meals on the cruise ship. That cruise ship in the Aegean, there are not boats like that look like Carnival or Royal Norwegian type stuff, right? It's smaller, going to be more like the size of those Viking River cruise type of boats and stuff like that. Probably not quite the same level of fanciness maybe as some of those, but has all the amenities and things like that. And you can look up that cruise line and see what is likely the boat that we would be on in the Aegean. And I don't have the name right off the top of my head, but you could see it.
It's on the sheet. It's written on the sheet.
On the
It's
sheet.
Let's See
So you can
Cruises.
search that company there. Laura mentioned that we're gonna so as of 2/23, we had 8 folks already registered. We're gonna we're gonna do an initial like first 33 that registered to come. And then after that, like she said, we're gonna have to take a wait list. And really it all depends on like size of vehicle once we get there. So it's about, you know, the size of coach and things like that. So our hope would be that if you get on that wait list and stuff, that we can accommodate all. Laura and I were trying to make a conservative guess at first to see where interest level would be and everything like that. But if you're truly interested, go ahead. You fill out that back sheet that's on that 3-page itinerary. So the back sheet of that, and send that into Alpha Christian Tours along with the $500 deposit. And that's how you kind of guarantee the spot in there. After you do guarantee your spot, get an email about trip insurance and about travel insurance. I don't know the exact cost of that because it depends on the total trip cost and on the age, but it is through one of the major travel insurance companies so they partner with, and it ends up going through like Zurich Travel Insurance, which is one of the major ones. So it'll be really, they're just gonna it'll be to cover a cost on that. But the great thing about that would be, you know, you're signing up for something a year and a half from now. You don't know everything that's going to happen in between now and then. So it's probably a good idea to consider the travel insurance when doing that. I know someone had asked Betty Ann, who is the person who leads Alpha Tours, about like upgrading air and things like that for those of you who are fancy. It depends on the airline and how that works. So when I looked at some of her answers, so yeah, so I think that'll have to be you know, we don't have March 25's air schedule yet, right? So some of the prices built in is a best estimate at it. So, but yeah, as that's able to get figured out as far as specifically which airline, and probably both whatever the American carrier is, and then also what our carrier is over there, probably will depend. So that's kind of some general broader questions. A lot of times on these trips, and in this case as well, especially when we're on land, lunch isn't included. Usually there's spots around wherever we're stopped or where we're touring where you could get something or have you know, a snack, since you're gonna have a bigger dinner and stuff like that. So it really depends. You know, my kids eat 12 times a day, so we will be constantly and I just want to eat as many possible euros on the side of the road. That's my general goal. So anyway, but yeah, like Laura said, we're also we're gonna make sure there's devotional material. We're also gonna ahead of time with whoever signs up, provide like a reading list. I mean, really every day we're going to be touching somewhere in the book of Acts, right? And then probably one of Paul's letters that he wrote to that particular community. And so we'll try to also make sure that it's grounded so that while you're there, you can kind of get that experience of where he was. Obviously, we're not going to follow his travel route. If you've ever looked at the back of your Bible and tried to follow it, Paul didn't have a very good travel planner when he did his. So his travel planner looked more like a 3-year-old scribbler. So yeah, so his wasn't as so we won't be following in chronological order with Paul, because I don't think any of us can afford that trip. So but that's the kind kind of the general gist of some of the questions I think you might have. I did find on the front page of that itinerary, that little box that's at the bottom answers like 80 to 90% of logistical questions you might have. And it just has a few things, but included is like, which meals? Hey, what are my airfares covered? What is the, and so it answers some of those basic ones. If you all give us a question today that we cannot answer, which is likely, we will go back to the travel agent who is, or the travel company who we're working with, and she's also a fellow United Methodist pastor. She's a deacon, and we can shoot her a list of questions and kind of send them back to you all or to the specific person who had that question. So we'll open it up now for any questions. Or Laura, is there anything you wanted to add that I didn't cover?
As I'm filling out the form, who do I put as the travel host on the top right?
Yeah, so
Across-
Laura and I are, we are the hosts.
Okay. Okay.
You can put both of our names or one of our names, and she'll
Okay.
know.
I saw the leader, but I didn't know that was the host as well. Okay. Thank you.
Technically the hosts, yes.
Here's a question, probably a Betty Ann question. Is it possible to prepay gratuities for the land portion? I know sometimes that makes life a little easier if it's all been paid ahead of time, if possible.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we got a lot of time to figure that out. So,
Sure,
yep, I don't know the answer to that, so
sure.
Are you writing these down, Kevin, or do you want me to?
I am. I got
Okay,
a
great.
Yep.
Then the other question along with that is the currency used over there would be take
I
it
think
with
they're on
the,
euros. I think they're euros.
Oh,
I don't know
euros.
about
Turkey.
I don't
was.
know about Turkey. I don't know about Turkey, but in Greece, I'm pretty sure they're on the euro.
yeah, Greece is euros. I know that. I just didn't know if we should.
But I don't know if we'll need to spend. I don't know about because Ephesus, it's going to be a guided tour from the ship, and so I don't know if we'll need to spend money in Ephesus. It'll be like an excursion through the cruise ship, right? So unless you're doing some purchasing of like what's the word I'm looking for, which my kids love to do, gift shops, wherever you go,
Souvenirs.
souvenirs, that thing. I try to block it out because
Little crap that we're
you'll
gonna have
hear
to buy
them
along the
begging
way.
for a lot.
Okay.
But that's a good question of what do we need to be prepared for in Ephesus as far as making purchases.
And just so y'all know, we as it gets closer, we can do another Zoom session or a meeting with Betty Ann specifically. So we just wanted to do kind of the interest level one. So as it gets closer and there's some more specifics that are, stuff that we don't details we don't need 13 months out, we'll make sure that those get covered as well in that environment.
Hey, I had heard that there's some kind of new travel documents that are needed when you're traveling in Europe, something that's going to be required by 2025. What all have you heard about that?
Nothing. I have not heard anything about that. Beyond the passport, you mean?
Yes.
to go into Europe. It's
I think it's a visa.
Like a visa?
no, it's a special
Right.
it's
Okay.
it starts
We will
with a
ask Betty
E.
Ann about that.
Eva or Evet or
Okay.
Yeah, with something, yeah, and it's starting in 2025.
yeah.
Okay. We will follow up about that as well.
Or Macus, Georgia and Dougie here.
Yeah.
Where is the application? Has it been emailed out? I'm like I said, I'm just so far behind on email. I can't.
Well, and I can put it. I can also put it on the chat.
Okay, yeah.
I'll put a link. I'll put a link.
Yeah,
To it.
if you have this, it's
I
the
don't-
third page.
No, we don't have that.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me
Will
grab
Kevin
it.
put that in the chat for everybody?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
And Doug, there's gonna be copies of this in
Yeah.
Crossroads starting
Okay, okay.
today. So if you want to come pick them up, you can. But
All right, perfect.
Kevin can also put it in the chat for
Yeah,
those who won't be
right
here
now.
at Apex UMC.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Another
have a
thing you might
question.
want to confirm, is whether either of these countries are those that would not let you travel in to them if your passports within 6 months of expiration.
Yeah, so I was just generally going to say, I would check with your passport and make sure that its expiration is past September 25. And if it's not, just go ahead. Laura and I had this issue when we were traveling to Italy. And hers was still going to be good for 3 months, and which I don't know why we have expirations, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so if it's going to be, if you're like, oh, good, it's still good for a month after we're back, they won't let you on the plane. So,
Yep.
Right. And I think there's a 6-month window. You know, Tammy lost out her whole trip to Machu Picchu because of that. So
yeah, I would go ahead. Yeah, one of our piece of advice was to look at passport stuff now and see where yours
Yeah.
is. If you don't have one or haven't, just do it now. The backlog is done, so we got our kids in the summer, and we got it came in in 2 to 3 months, kind of like back to normal time. But just to make sure, especially once they get towards booking air, they're going to need all that info for you. So just go ahead and do that.
Some of us have credit cards that have trip insurance with them. But I noticed on this form that no credit cards to pay for this. Is that cast in stone? Can we use a credit card that has trip insurance on it?
We can connect you with Betty Ann about that. I'm sure she has she's been doing this for years and years and years. I'm sure she has dealt with that. And so we can connect you with her about that question.
I have a question too. If we did a trip like this, we'd probably want to go a day early and maybe stay in Athens 2 or 3 days late. So we'd probably do our own air. And if we did that, if we wanted to do land tour only, I'm assuming we'd contact the tour people and not you and Laura. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. You can, because she has said that if there's like flight upgrades that she can't do, then what will happen is you purchase your airlines yourself, and then she just charges you for the land and the cruise portion without the airlines. And so just reach out to her, but make sure you loop us in so we kind of know what to expect. So we're not looking for you at the airport when you're already there.
Laura, can we try to make sure that she books couples together on the plane, seats together? Because she didn't do that at Israel, and I ended up sitting in a completely different area away from where Chris was sitting. Like it was almost impossible for me to walk to get to where he was. If we can just make that gets done.
I think I read somewhere that she said that she submits the names based on roommate status, but she can't guarantee anything.
Okay.
And so she does the best she can. But I had the same thought. I'm like, well, hopefully my kids aren't sitting with some strangers somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
If we could
I have a question about cabin class upgrade on the cruise ship. Do you know what class they raise you up to for the $249 a person extra? And I know you won't know that, but that's a Betty Ann question.
We can ask that question too.
Okay.
We can ask that question too. You're writing this down, Kevin, right?
Yep.
He's got it.
Laura, what else did you have a question about?
If we could get where the days we have free time, like the blocks of time that we have, Chris and I have been to a lot of these islands before. So we, if we have blocks of free time, we may choose to do, some different activities or bring some people with us on some things that we've done before that we want to do again.
That's awesome. We have our own built-in tour guide with the Kuipers.
It's been a long time since I've been there. I'm sure things have changed, but we love Greece. I would tell you that's the only place I've ever been on vacation, and we were there for 3 weeks that I did not want to come home.
A 3-week vacation. How do you arrange that?
Well, it was 2 weeks, but they had a transportation strike, and when they have
Ah.
transportation strikes, no taxi run, no airplanes, no
Yeah.
ferries, nothing. So we couldn't get off the island of Santorini. Oh, what a horrible
Oh
experience!
gosh, yes. Bless your heart.
Can we arrange a transportation strike while we're there?
Yeah.
And they have very weird political labor laws,
Like
and
France.
sometimes things
Yeah.
just you don't, everybody there knows about it except for the people coming there.
Except the pictures.
And I'm sure, again, it's been a while since I've been there. Maybe that's all been resolved and they don't have those issues anymore. I don't know. But if we get stuck longer, I guarantee all of you, no one will be sad.
Ah,
These are great questions. What else? What else do we have?
Kevin, I'm also interested in food. So are you saying that only breakfast and lunch are included?
Breakfast and dinner.
Breakfast and dinner. Okay, no lunch included. Gotcha.
No lunch except for
The
all
boat.
meals where we're on the boat are included. So there'll probably be some lunches on the boat. And then I'd imagine some days
It'd be
we're off the boat
20
during lunchtime. And so then you're on your own, is kind of but yeah, that's how it. Yeah. So every dinner we will have at night. So we probably have a reservation at a local restaurant together for our big group, to be together each night, for dinners and things. Yes.
Okay.
Jen, you had a question?
Quick question. What contingency plans do they have should they encounter problems?
Like what?
Oh, like a strike, or there's something going on with transportation, or the island shuts down, or COVID hits, or whatever, any one of the myriad of things that can screw up a trip.
Like roads getting on fire. There was a
That
fire.
would be good. Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
good.
shit.
So are you talking beforehand or during?
Either. I mean, what plans, I'm sure they have some contingencies built in. If one of the plans had a strike, for example, and they go, okay, we can't go to this island, we'll go to a different island or something. I'm sure they have plans, but I'm curious what they are.
Yeah, and Betty Ann she loves this trip, and I personally, and so I'm sure she has backup ideas. But those of you who traveled with this company for Israel, was that question asked? Did you get an answer from Betty Ann about that?
Well, we
Yeah.
had days that we had to change cities around because of strikes on the interstate, and we had to divert to different cities. We still ended up seeing everything. The schedule just got swapped around and we went to different places, and didn't affect us at all. I mean, we didn't even know, really truthfully, that there was an alternate plan.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
it was
Seamless, Betty.
And she has partners on the ground there that we work with. So we'll have a local with us who will, help us make sure everything kind of goes smoothly.
Yeah. I mean, but for instance, I mean, like if this Israel trip, if y'all's Israel trip was planned and it would have been for right now, the contingency would be don't go. Right. So, and it gets canceled. I mean, that would have been, so that's why I'm asking like before or after, right? Like, I mean,
Okay.
so
But with that in mind, if the trip gets canceled, what happens at that point? Are there refunds or no refunds or rebooked trips or what?
So I think part of that's the travel insurance piece that we need to follow up a little bit more on. Right. So if you have travel insurance, then you're fully covered. In the fine print on the third page of her document has some stuff about if you cancel before 200 days, you get this much back. If you cancel, but this is about.
But imagine that's different than if like Greece isn't allowing anybody in.
Yeah,
That's like if you personally decide to not go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If
Right,
there
but
was
I
like
mean-
another global pandemic and the trip had to get canceled, you would get refunded. That wouldn't have to do with, I think if it got canceled on that end, Just
All right,
like,
so a lot of the travel insurance will tell you if there's a war, they're not covering anything. So if you had a trip to Israel and that war started, you might be out.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
yeah.
We
Thank
can follow up with
God
that
y'all got to
question.
take a trip. And-
Yeah, that's right. We can follow up with that question. I know she lived through that with COVID because she had trips planned when everything shut down. So we can kind of ask her what the policies are there. And like with any travel, it's, you know, you take some risks and
Mhm.
you just go with
right.
it.
Yeah.
But we can find out what those contingencies are.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I think Ray is talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I got it muted. Yeah, I said, I found Betty Ann to be very ethical and very upfront about things. I don't think that she would do anything to harm her reputation by not keeping her money or something. She had to cancel, guys. I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the good thing is where we're going. I mean, Greece has had a mess internally, politically, or like economically, but the last thing they want as a country is to not have tourists come. So,
Kevin, is Greece a NATO country? A member of NATO?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so too, but I
think
I don't know.
they are, but I don't
Somebody
know.
look it up.
Yeah, that's a Google question.
The librarian's already working on it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
They are. Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
4 new members joined Greece and Turkey in 1952.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Turkey's into, okay.
52.
52, wow.
I think I have an answer to one of the questions was, what do you get for your upgrade on the cruise ship? If you look, I think it says you get a room with a window.
That's what it
That's
says
the
on the
difference.
paper.
Internal, or you get a room with a window.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just don't know how many tiers are on the cruise ship of like I just don't know enough about what the different room options are on the cruise ship. But the standard room is an interior room. You get a window if you upgrade, but beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be quite as many tiers as if you are on a, one of these massive American cruise lines or whatever, right? It's not, there's not a slide and roller coaster on top. Right. So unfortunately, but
I did some checking and have a couple of updates. Currently, Greece and Turkey do not require visas for stays of less than 90 days. Passports, however, for both must be valid for at least 6 months beyond the travel dates. And then the only thing I could find was a 2025 update was the real ID for domestic travel is required. I think it's in May 2025.
but that's just domestic. Yeah, that's not the,
Yeah.
that doesn't
And
matter.
that's only if you don't have a passport, because you can still travel
Right.
with your license and a passport, even if you don't have a real ID.
And neither country accepts US currency.
Right. We'd have to use euros more than likely.
Yeah.
In Greece,
or your credit cards.
it's something else, and I didn't know what it was. So
That was my question about gratuities.
Yeah.
We'll need local currency for gratuities? Like, are we gonna have local tour guides that we will be
Exactly.
tipping at the end, and we will need euros for that? So,
Or is that part of the package deal?
Or-
That's a question. I would assume gratuities are built into the schedule,
Gratuities are there, but for a few things it says.
right? Okay.
So then that's,
I mean, it's built in for ship gratuities and for, I believe, because we're going to have the same on the land, we'll have the same tour guide. And I can't remember if that person will join us on the boat or not. But it'll be the same person. So it'll kind of be, I think that is built in.
Okay.
But if we do like if you do like a ship excursion in one of the islands that's just like, hey, hang out, you might need to have something for that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
For our Israel trip, Betty Ann was really good upfront about telling us what gratuities were included once we'd all registered. And for example, we had a bus driver and a tour guide with us on the whole trip. And there's a suggested amount per person for a gratuity. And I believe we paid that in US dollars. So Betty Ann will, I'm sure, provide that
Yeah,
detail once we get closer.
Even if it's the euros are used in the country, they can always exchange dollars for euros. So
Right.
Yeah, but it does include, it includes ship gratuities is what it says in that box. That little box I told you on the first page of the itinerary kind of has specifically what's included. Yes, that specifically says ship gratuities. Another spot where I was looking. So not included in the basic price. It's so this is on the third page, like on the form you'll fill out. It says not included are shore excursions in Mykonos, Crete, and Santorini. So Laura talked about that we're not, those aren't included. Love offerings for the driver, escort, and guides. So those are not included. And then like baggage charges and things, right? So that's not included. Although typically when you're flying international, you do get a bag and things, unlike the domestic. So, but yeah, so we'll cover that. We'll cover those specifics about gratuities and stuff. That'll be like in a 90-day or 60-day out meeting with Betty Ann once we're getting closer and it's 2025 and everything like that.
One of the things I know that we'll all need to be really leery of that didn't seem to be a problem in Israel are the gypsies. So they were everywhere in Greece when we last went there. I don't know if that'll be true now, but you just have to be very careful. And the children, distract you. They do tricks and, cause all kinds of distraction. And then usually it's an adult or an older child that steals from you. So my mother got her purse stolen on the steps of one of the places just because she was totally distracted. It was very obvious when it happened and how it happened. But if we're in a group, we can help protect one another. I think it's really smart, but it's usually not dangerous. It's just the concept of maybe wearing, a money belt or something that is connected to your body, not carrying external purses. I would highly recommend on a trip like this. So,
and kind of piggybacking on that, if you've been on other tours, especially in the Holy Lands, a lot of the sites you likely saw were just packed with long lines and people everywhere. Betty Ann, and when we were planning this trip, she said that one of the benefits of doing this pilgrimage is that the Christian sites in Greece are not as well traversed as in Israel. And so we might be like the only ones at the Corinth ruins. It's not going to be the same kind of experience as far as like when we go to the Acropolis in Athens, like that will be packed, right? But the rest of it will be not as, it just won't be as traveled for the religious experience that we're looking for.
Right. Any other questions? You appreciate knowing, obviously some of these questions we knew would come, and then also others. It's just given y'all's experiences and some of y'all who were on that Israel trip too, it helps to know because we weren't. And so helps to know those questions and things. And this is the first time Laura and I are leading a trip like this. We've both participated in some, but it's helpful to know those questions. And we'll follow up with Betty Ann and I've taken down everyone who's here so we could send out some responses to that eventually when we get them and things too. And if you have things that are personal just to you, your own travel schedule concerns or stuff, like you can obviously take those, especially via email straight to her and her information is there on that itinerary as well.
I think also will probably be communicated to us on some of the islands. The terrain is very challenging. So there might be some places that some people that have mobility issues may choose not to get off the boat or stay close to the boat area, because like Santorini is way up in the air. You know, it's not it's not on the it's not easily accessible. And maybe all that's changed, and maybe they have transportation to take you up to the city, but it used to be you either had to walk or take a donkey. So
You don't want to take a
we can
donkey.
just that's what we did, and it was really frightening, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
I have had people ask about kind of what sort of pace when we're walking around, like what, you know, how far we'll be walking, those kind of things. What I said was, well, we're going to have like a 9-year-old with us. And so, you know, she can only walk so far. And we'll make sure that we're doing our best to kind of keep pace with as a group and not, you know, we don't want to leave anybody behind, but it will be walking. There will be, you know, some stairs and whatnot. But we will be mindful that we're all in this together. Well, all right. Thank you all for being here. I hope this was helpful. And thank you to those of you who have already, I know the Kuipers have already sent their stuff in, the Thompsons, the Hicks.
We'll send ours in today, Laura, or tomorrow. We'll fill it.
Excellent. Excellent. And I know I've heard from others that the Harriets, I think, are saying theirs in. And so who else on the call has already sent in their information?
Well, mine's got the stamp on it. Just haven't taken it to the post office.
Great.
So,
what a great group.
Elaine and mine's in the mail, Laura.
Yeah.
Great.
If the Harriets are gone, then we'll know all the good wineries.
That is not included in the cost.
Zona Harriet, honey. Zona.
If you're gonna partake of the fruit of the vine, that is also not included in the built-in cost.
Wait a minute.
The extra bottle that you have to bring to your preachers. So that's
we're in Greece. We have to partake of the fruit of the vine.
That's right. That's right.
These Apex folks.
For
my Macedonia people, I'm sorry that I have not led a winery Bible study yet. So I apologize.
Well, we got plenty of time, Kevin, before we go.
That's true.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
We can show them how it's done, Kevin.
Listen,
You're saying we're going to do that next week?
Yeah.
We need to get together, you know.
Yes, there we go.
So Laura, this is Evelyn Coleman. So both Alan and I are very much interested, and we'll get our forms filled out and mailed in.
Yeah, that's so great. We have such a great group. It's gonna be fun.
I think what just sold us was Doug's comment about the wine. So
okay, there we go. There we go.
Sign us up.
I don't know, those Euros.
You want to tell them that?
I have been to Greece, and I remember when you buy like the Euro, they put the French fries right on top.
Send a note.
So it's all wrapped up in one thing. It's really delicious. So
wow.
All right.
All right. Well, you know how to reach us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Kevin, you're back at Apex this week coming up too, is that right?
Yeah, well, Macedonia said they're keeping Laura. So sorry, y'all. I hope you enjoyed your time with her. She is now here. I'm transitioning out of this office over to Apex, where I will have to answer way more emails, handle 6 times the headaches because of the size. So yes, that is,
From Apex.
All right, y'all take care.
God bless you. Thank you.
Well, y'all have a lovely day. Okay.
You bet.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There's some good